Hello and welcome to what some people might call a brand new series here on the Weird Side, the third channel. And some people, yes, some people, I was checking if I was doing, some people would then call this a reimagined of an old concept. Who knows? On this channel, I run a series called For the Love of Idents, then For the Love of TV theme tunes, then For the Love of Adverts. Now we're doing For the Love of Soap Operas. So on this channel, I did two soap opera based videos. The first one ended up being factually inaccurate, the second one more accurate than the first. But this video and this series is now, each episode in this series, I will be talking about a different soap opera. Some of them I might revisit and talk about other aspects of it, but we're just going to talk about the soaps themselves. Today we're talking about one that is sadly ended as of yesterday, the 14th of November, 2023. 2024. And I'm not talking about the loss, the sadness, and the upset that it's caused the TV industry here in the UK. I'm going to talk about the legacy, the love, and the charity and the respect this show has had, and why I think the final episode ever was a cracking episode, and what I found online that might subordinate some good news in the future. Let's wait and see. But first of all, what soap opera am I talking about? Well, it aired at 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. on BBC One over the last 24 years. It had its own Bargain Hunt special yesterday, a documentary after the final episode, and appeared on countless other TV shows. Actors up and down the country, Oscar winners, Emmy winners, BAFTA winners, past and present, have all been on this. It is Doctors. Well done, Doctors, for lasting 24 years. I've always been a fan of Doctors, and I've always had a relationship with Doctors. So my early memory of Doctors is when I thought, and I think I've mentioned it several times, I was running in, we were about to leave the house with my grandparents, and went, oh look, Doctor Who's on, and sat down, it was actually Doctors. And that was my first experience of Doctors, the theme tune, the acting, and it was, Doctors is and was incredible. So at the moment, as of the 15th of November 2024, Doctors can be viewed on the iPlayer, the current lot. But you can also watch classic Doctors over on Drama, which is a channel owned by UK TV that is owned by BBC Studios. So there we have it. So that is the detail out the way. Let's talk about this final episode. This video contains spoilers. So I do apologise for my headphone use at that moment because I turned the volume up so you can hear me, and I do apologise just for doing that noise. So, Doctor's final episode, what did I think of the final? Well, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought that is how you end this up, because it meant that if it needed to come back, it's ready to come back. It's got the form, the figure, it's got the cast, everything's there, perfectly ready for it to return if and when it should. No, so the way I describe the final is like describing the final of Neighbours on Channel 5. So Neighbours came to an end with a massive street party and a wedding and all sorts. Cast returned. There's a lot of things happened, right? And it left it at a place where it was open ended. It could come back if it needed to or whatever. So it did come back, and they said 2 years later. So with Doctors ending, if it ever come back, will it come back 2 years later? Will a streaming service, of countless of many that there is, will a streaming service decide to bring it back? Who knows if we get a streaming service on board. But I'll talk more about that at the end of our video. So the final saw Graham, who, if you haven't been watching Doctors for the past couple of months, Graham Elton is, I'm going to say in a more of a family-friendly way, So Graham Elton is a troubled doctor, is a doctor that has a past. There's a lot of ups and a lot of downs within his character and his persona. He then has a need to control power. So then trying to upset people, trying to help people to move on one by one, so that by the end of it, there was a lot of anger towards him. He helped be evil by angering the audience and angering the Doctor, so that when we get the happy ending at the end, us as Doctor fans, we get a better satisfying ending because we hate that person, it's not just them hating him. Scarlet is the receptionist who's been there for the last 2 years. We have Rosie Colton, who has been there on and off, and we had Kirsty. Kirsty was there before Scarlet. Kirsty left, so then Rosie took Kirsty's spot again. Rosie was played by Janice Connolly, who's best known as Barbara Nice, who is a fantastic comedian and actor. She was brilliant in Doctors. She was brilliant in the Welsh sitcom on Radio Wales that the names the language learners. I think it was called the Learners. Sorry, it's called the Learners. That's it. And the current cast was amazing. Cast that only left for a while, which I quite enjoyed. So Luca McIntyre, he left, appeared in an episode as he worked in private care, and then came back for the final, which is what we wanted. We always want Luca to return, because my favourite characters in the whole of Doctors were Kirsty, Al, Rosie, Scarlet. That's 4 characters, right? Al, I mentioned previously on the main channel, Tom Mason, where I talked about how the person that played Al Haskey was in an episode of Sarah Jane Adventures. Al Haskey was a fan of Doctor Who, Fifth Doctor to be precise, and I think that as a whole, the final did its job. So what I'm about to say is a huge spoiler. So Graham taking over and people leaving and him hiring new staff, which we didn't see again, might I add, the new staff he hired, it ruined. It was like, oh no. And my issue was that the episode itself wasn't long enough, because there was a lot to do within the time frame that we had. So what I mean by that is that the episodes usually are half an hour, but I hoped that this was going to be an hour because it was like too much left at the end. But luckily enough, Zara, who had been ill the past few months, who is the head honcho of the practice, the mental health centre, came back. She didn't go anyway. She was just a lot better, a lot more healthier, and a lot more well. And so she was able to fight and save the mill from being destroyed. Everyone becoming partners is a hard thing to do. So if you're going to return it with a whole new cast, you couldn't leave it at the mill, because none of them would have left because they're all partners and they'll never leave ever and ever again. So that wouldn't work. Other than that, I think that the ending was perfect. I didn't notice, but I noticed something with them. So the episode was called Days Like These, which is a song by Elbow. It goes, I'll sing a bit. Almost curtain wide, one day like this will see me bright. That, right? And I didn't notice. I was listening to the episode at the end. They do a drone show. They fly away, and I'm listening, going, something's off here. The music sounds weird. What's up with the music? And then it clicked. Is that the cast of Doctors? Now I thought it was the cast currently of Doctors, but then someone pointed out online that it was a cast who were the cast of Doctors at the point where the Doctor celebrated his 20th anniversary. This year is 24 years old. So that added a nice tribute to the show. I also found out off the official Doctor's accounts online today that there's a scene where they're all stood in the Icon, which is their pub restaurant thing, and they're all on the phone. Gonna ring Ben Bear on the phone, who is the manager, who's the one that can control who becomes a partner, who doesn't become a partner, because he's got access to the money in an emergency situation. So they're all ringing him, going, but the music in the background is not It's not unusual. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. That song. And I didn't think anything wrong with it. I thought it was Tom Jones. There you go. But I found out today that that was actually the actor that played Luca in it, and the other cast. Because there was an episode where there was an auction and he sang It's Not Unusual. So they used that recording and put it there, which is a nice link, a nice twist, and a nice Easter egg, as they call it. I think the Doctors as a whole, over the past 24 years, has been well deserving on the spot. It's a groundbreaking for 2 p.m/1 p.m. You wouldn't expect the stuff to get away with at that time because it's early enough that the kids aren't there, and it's late enough for it not to be stuck in the morning slot. So I feel like it explores a lot more difficult topics, and I think that as a whole, Doctors should be and is praised for that type of thing. And I personally am happy that Doctors existed. I'm happy that it was there. I'm glad that we got to meet Luca, we got to meet Kirsty, we got to meet Sky, we got to meet Al Haskell, we got to meet Jimmy Clare, we got to meet Emma, we got to meet Zara, we got to meet Michelle, we got to meet Rob Hollins, we got to meet Rumour, and I am also glad that Christopher Timothy, who was best known for playing James Harriet, which is how I pronounce the word Harriet, due to the fact that I'm trying to make sure I'm not saying Harriet, because it's Harriet. In All Creatures Great and Small, the original version, not the stupid Channel 5 version. No, not that rubbish. But the amazing BBC version. So Christopher Timothy played Mac, and appearing in the final year of Doctors was a good tribute to Doctors. So he was there from the beginning. He was there at the end. What I mean is that he was there at the beginning, and then he appears as a cameo in 2 episodes at the point where we're wrapping up Doctors. We find out more about what the storyline's going to be. I do think it's just a joy, Doctors. And fans up and down the country will tell you that they were fans of Doctors for a while. They watched Doctors. Everyone, most people have a story at one point in their life where they had seen Doctors. They might not be watching it currently now. They might not be watching it up to date. They might not be doing this, that, the other. But at one point or another, they were watching Doctors. Doctors and being enjoyed by fans up and down. Every night. They might not watch it on a continuous basis. They might not watch it every week. They might not watch it all the time. They at least seen it. They know what it is and they love it. And it's a shame that it's going, but there's hope at the end. Hopefully it could return. Hopefully it could do a Neighbours, which no one ever thought in any world that would be a sentence that anyone would be using in the history of sentences. No one ever thought that they'll say, oh, hopefully it does a Neighbours. But there is hope. So I don't know the legitimacy of Birmingham Live, the newspaper company. I'm assuming that we're going to call this a rumour or speculation. But there was an article put out saying that there's a possibility the Doctors could return, but with a change of cast, a change of setting, a change of scenery, and a change of all that, which won't work. Shortland Street was added to the iPlayer, and no one had an issue with it, even though we might not know what's going on or know any of the storylines. No one had an issue. They didn't have to alter it, they didn't have to do anything else to make it cater for us, the non-people that didn't have it before. So I think that having Doctors on a streamer would work. It just depends on who would have it. Channel 5 only does home and away, so I think Channel 5 could do with a soap, or who else? TLC? MTV? No, none of them Foxy channels. We could have let's have Amazon Prime because we've been really successful with Neighbours. So overall, I think The Doctors is and was incredible. It helped people and it shed a light on illnesses, disease, conditions that not many people would have heard of and might have got treated Might have gone, oh, that sounds like me, and then gone to their own doctors and got themselves checked out, and might have been diagnosed with those conditions, illnesses, or whatever, and it might have helped millions of people. It helped people who were watching it. It helped people who were filming it, so camera crew, directors, producers, editors, helped writers. The reason why I put them separately is because the writers are a separate entity, in my opinion, because the writers were experimenting. There were new writers, there were new things, and the directors and the editors. I just wanted to mention them separately, really. The makeup departments and all these people were. Some of them might have been there for years, but there were a lot of people that were new to it and they were learning on the job, and that's what's perfect about Doctors. It was a training ground for writers, actors, people behind the camera, like producers, directors, camera people, and it also helped the makeup, costume departments, and it just worked really well. And it's a shame that it's coming to an end, and it's come to an end. It's a shame, but hopefully the memory of Doctors will stay alive. I personally will still be talking about Doctors within this series for the love of soap operas. But today we also talked about that I loved the ending. The drone shot at the end with Daylight Leaves playing as it all comes out as the patients walking in and walking out was perfect. The documentary that followed Doctor A Celebration was also incredible, having the woman that plays Rumour doing the voiceover work perfectly. It reminded me a lot of Doctor Who Confidential, which is a good thing in my opinion, that it reminds me of Doctor Who Confidential, and I think that it shows how much they enjoyed it, so shows all the love, and I hope the cast going to bigger and brighter things in the future. Thank you guys for watching. Bye. Sorry about that cut.